The Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarised sunglasses. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne, up in the northeast coast of England. Today is Sunday, the 9th of April. It is Happy Jesus Waking Up Day, etc. And me and Baz are going to have a little look back at what felt like a really important weekend of Premier League action. I know that sounds a bit daft because they're all important, especially as we get towards the vinegar strokes. But this weekend just seemed quite a big one. There was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of quite funny stuff as well. But we've got Champions League quarterfinals on Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll have a look at Manchester United's game in the Europa League on Thursday. And we're going to have a look at the huge National League game tomorrow as well. So we're going to do that early doors as well, so you can get any bets on if you get to this show before that. And helping me with all of that is the aforementioned Mr. Barry Penaluna. Bazza, Arit.
Hi, not bad. Not bad. A little bit tired. I had the journey back. I'm back in Nottingham now. Having been back up in Newcastle for the last week. I was supposed to be coming home Friday, then pushed it back to Saturday, and then I was knackered. Couldn't be bothered to drive yesterday, so I ended up heading back this afternoon. Struggling a little bit. Looking forward to a couple of days of rest before back to work. But ready to get stuck into this. It's been a good weekend. How's your brother and the babies, Baz? We get the baby news out of the way. I love a good baby, mate. I'm a sucker for a good baby. So you tell me about the baby. Yeah, that reminds me. I didn't send you any photos of the babies for you to show the missus, did I?
No, you didn't, mate. She's clamouring for those.
My brother Jamie and his good wife Sabrina both had twins last week on Wednesday. I want to say Tuesday, which is why I've been back up in Newcastle, spending some time with the family and seeing the new little ones. Madison and Hallie, yeah, all good. Had lots of cuddles and all that this week. They seem to be on their best behaviour. Every time I'm there, they just sleep. Apparently, it's not the same on a night time, but that's not my problem, is it? So
that's not your problem, Baz. You're over that. I went to my friend's 40th on Friday, and it was just really weird. They sort of started early, so people could bring their families, and you're just seeing everyone at the different stages of the journey with the kids. So I'm all right. I'm at the top end now. My kids have got no need for me whatsoever. But then you've got the ones who are sort of 7, 8, 9, that kind of age. Then you've got the toddler. So you see that area of your life where you're just walking slowly behind them round in the fucking room for non-stop. We're hunched over with two hands just walking behind them as they walk into tables and chairs and shit like that. There are a lot of people at that stage, and then a lot of actual babies. And it's just funny watching all my mates just thinking, oh, I'm pleased I'm not involved in any of that, because it's great to have a bit of shenanigans with the kids, but then having them back, but that was nice to see all my friends. Just weird how everything's changed. It's the Easter weekend, Bars, which normally would have involved 4 solid days, one in town, one up Jesmond, getting lashed up. You'd have had beer coming up your ear holes, but it wasn't like that at all. It was all very civilized, eating buffet and doing Easter egg hunts. Did you do the Easter egg hunt this morning?
We've done that for my little niece and nephew. Yeah, ours are getting a bit big. Actually, they're not too big. Now we've got home, they're like, are we going to do an Easter egg hunt? Like, are you not a bit big for that now? They went, no. So they're expecting that tomorrow because we've only just got home. My kids are expecting to. They just want more chocolate, don't they? It's not about the hunt.
Yeah. That's it. They can suddenly be children when they want to be. Yeah, we did ours, but we did ours at 3 p.m. when Betty got out of bed. There's none of this getting up at 6:30 in the morning. Bob was itching. Bob was up at 8:30 this morning. He was still. He was itching to find his Easter eggs, but he couldn't do it until the teenager gets out of bed, which was about 10 to 3. It was like half time in the first game of the day when he decided to get up. So they were hunting for eggs at 4 p.m. But that made me laugh. So mad old weekend really in the Premier League. We'll recap our games. I think I went 4 for 10, finished round about SP. Baz went 6 for 10, finished well ahead, Barry, because they get all the exotic stuff as well. But we had VAR fiascos. We've had linos dropping the elbow on players and all sorts of stuff. So we'll run through our Premier League games, then we'll get stuck into these Champions League quarterfinals, etc. I'll tell you about our headline sponsor first, Shady Rays. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarised shades, customisable snow goggles, and much more. Moonaf got a pair for him and Mrs. Moonaf last week, and they look very swanky indeed. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company, world-class product, durable frames, and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And the protection, you get lost and broken replacements, they'll just send you them immediately, no questions asked. So you can wear your Shady Rays with confidence, you can look good and feel good. And they've also donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. If you don't love them, exchange for a new pair or return them free within 30 days. So exclusive to our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the new year so far. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarised sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. Okay, so the shenanigans started early yesterday. In fact, this was probably the most shenanigan-free game of the weekend. Manchester United 2, Everton 0. I cashed here on under 2.5 goals. I was quite happy with this. It was a good start. It was a fairly standard win. It was the classic standard win, actually. The better team beats the worst team by 2-0. That's just how it's meant to work. Manchester United played quite well. They made chance after chance after chance. Rashford and Ante missed chance after chance after chance, which made me giggle. And then Everton just never, ever looked like they were going to score. Ellis Sims got one chance, cut the neck off it. And if he's going to be their great hope of stopping up, you do fear for them. But this wasn't a home game against a shit team where they're going to win 1-0 with a set piece. This was an away game where they just didn't bother trying very hard, really. And Man United did cuff them. In fact, I think they had a record number of shots in the first half, 21 shots, which was a record for all Premier League teams in the first half. So, yeah, Baz, you got a bit cute and took Everton -1. That's probably, I felt like I talked you into that with my constant battering of Man United.
Yeah, it was a struggle to pick anything from the game, to be fair. I felt Everton would keep it tight, and it never really looked like it was going to be the case. So it wasn't the best start of the weekend, but it definitely got better for me from there. So I was okay with it.
Just finish your sentence while I'm in the middle of swigging my tea there, Baz. I mean, if you've got the camera on, you can see what's going on.
I don't watch you while I'm, doing my
Well, you should.
I don't have you covered over with my notes, to be honest.
Well, that's where you're going wrong, isn't it? Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 0. This was beautiful. This was the one you wanted, really, with the 94th minute goal from Ollie Watkins. Cashed all kinds of bets. I was frustrated before this. I took Aston Villa on the handicap -1.5. It was a price of 5-3, so that was nice. And like I say, I took Ollie Watkins to score at any time, which he did in the 94th minute. Your bet, Baz, was Villa and over 1.5 goals, and you also took Ollie Watkins. That was the exact same scenario you found yourself in. Main takeaway of this was Villa up to 6 now. They've snuck up there, so yeah, fair play to Villa. And Unai Emery, but Forest looked cooked. And after the game here, the Forest fans were arguing between themselves. Brennan Johnson, who's been their best player, was getting pelters off the fans. If you went online afterwards, you would have seen particularly John Joe Shelby, because he gave away, or did he? Yeah. I think he did, actually. I'd say so. You could have blamed the big defender Nia Cartier, but it was Shelby's fault for me. Shelby was getting panned as well. And I just think Forest, in a few years' time, people will look back on this Forest season as one of the weirdest seasons in living memory, because they signed 31 players pre-season. Then in the winter, signed another shitload more players. But then I was talking to, Nibs, my mate Nibs, Nottingham Forest fan. And I just said, well, there's no way John Joe Shelby. I like John Joe. He's done really well here. It was cute when he came back up after we sold him and he come on the pitch and waved and everything. But someone's looked and thought, right, who's going to run around, grab everyone by the scruff of the neck and drag us out of this relegation fight. John Joe Shelby, well, he's not. He's going to amble about at 3/4 pace. Well, 1/4 pace, in fact, because he's only got 1 second and it's dead slow. And some days he'll have a great game and ping an 80-yarder, and he did try his bollocks off for us, but he just was never going to do what they wanted him to do. In the Chris Wood signing, although he's been injured. So, yeah, weird behaviour from Nottingham Forest, but Villa cashed this late, Baz, and it was all shits and giggles after that.
Yeah, as you say, hit everything for us. Both our players on this game came in on that late goal, and also both hitting our scorer bet as well. So you'll take it. We expected it to be a bit easier than it was, didn't we, that one? Yeah,
definitely. Brentford won, Newcastle 2. I took Newcastle on the money line, 11-10, plus 110 was a nice bet. Baz, you took Newcastle team total, over 1.5, so cashed that as well. This was a busy game. There was lots going on, and Newcastle were really poor in the first half. Brentford played well. Got a penalty, missed it. Got an awful penalty, scored it. And at half time, I just didn't fancy Newcastle. And then credit Eddie Howe. This is where the manager earns his money. Made some changes, changed the system a little bit, and within 12 minutes, we dominated the game. We were 2-1 up. Should have been 3-1. And Brentford never really did. They lumped a few long balls into the box in the last 10 minutes. Never really looked like equalising. And Newcastle march on with 5 wins in a row, Bat.
Yeah, definitely a tale of two halves, wasn't it? I mean, the penalty missed, I thought was nobody expected. As soon as Ivan Toney steps up to take a penalty, I think he's going to score because he just never misses. The first one he has missed.
Baz, I'm going to stop you there. I don't ever think he's going to score. I think it's absolute bollocks. He's got no idea what he's doing, right? That is not what he's doing. Is not a technique. And if he's gone in, it's because he's called heads or tails correctly, however many times he's done it right. Run up and kick the fucking ball as hard as you can. It's absolute shite. And that was a demonstration of the shite because Nick Pope's just lying down waiting for it. And on another day, he could now miss 7 in a row. No problem. So don't give me that. Crack on.
The second one that was given just before half time was a shambles. It should never have been went to VAR. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. I'm still not sure it was an error at all. Bollocks that was. But we couldn't really have any complaints going in 1 down at half time because Brentford thoroughly deserved it. But complete turnaround in the second half from Newcastle. And once we got ahead, we never really looked like letting it slip, really. Unfortunately, not to get the third, another one ruled out due to another VAR intervention where it probably could have been ignored and would have been ignored in other games. But good win. I mean, Newcastle away wins. They're at West Ham and Brentford. We know Brentford have got a really good home record. I think that was the first home defeat since September for Brentford. So really, really good win and hitting form at the right time and scoring goals now at the right time. Lots to be positive about going into, a few tough games coming up. Villa, Spurs, Arsenal all next. So yeah, it's all to play for, but hitting our stride at the right time.
I was just about to say we've got a few ghost watchers in the watching on YouTube, and no one had said hello yet. So if you are lurking about, get the comments, say hello. Just as I said, that serial's popped up. So good evening to you. Happy Easter. Etc. Fulham 0, West Ham 1. This was a game that West Ham couldn't win. I think, Baz, you sent me a little message laughing at that. I think I've got 100% record on saying things that can't possibly happened. Yeah. Maybe 3 from 3. There was a draw earlier in the Champions League that couldn't happen.
You definitely told me last week that Palace couldn't beat Leicester, was it? And then this week you told me West Ham couldn't win, and I went against you. I took West Ham.
However, Baz, I'm caveating that because the goal was a handball, so it doesn't count.
According to my bank balance, it does.
Yeah, fair enough. Baz took West Ham. That was a good win, that. Even though I don't think anyone covered themselves in glory. Probably the most nothing game of the weekend, apart from if you're a West Ham fan, because that was 3 big points due to the position you're in and what was going on around you. Not least of all, the next game, Leicester 0, Bournemouth 1. We both took both teams to score, yeah? I feel like we handicapped this all right, Baz, because neither of us wanted to rule out Bournemouth. We were both quite keen on Bournemouth, saying how well they've been playing, but actually just didn't see them keeping a clean sheet and didn't see Leicester not scoring because Leicester have been good for a goal, even though they keep getting beat. So we've often said about the three things you can do on a bet is A, handicap the game correctly, and then B, pick the right bet. So we did A and we didn't quite do B. So Leicester in the shit now. Big win for Bournemouth, and for the first time in ages, there was a little gap this weekend emerged between sort of the bottom 5 and the few above, where it's been like a bottom 9, hasn't it, for weeks?
Yeah, I think Bournemouth, I said a few weeks ago, I think Bournemouth are ticking along nicely now, getting the results, every other week they're picking up something. And yeah, they've given themselves a little bit of a cushion. It's only 3 points, so you lose the next 2 games, suddenly you'll be right back in it. But they've got Spurs next. Anyone can beat them. West Ham, Southampton, Leeds, the 3 after that. Bournemouth, I think, will keep chipping away, picking up the points where they need them. And I reckon they'll make a good fight of it. I think it'll go down the wire with Bournemouth. But that was a really big win for them yesterday.
Yep. Next game was probably had the most talking points of the weekend. Tottenham 2, Brighton 1. I put Brighton up as my underdog. I'm not counting this one either, Baz. They were absolutely robbed, completely and utterly chinned. You put a tweet out about it, which got quite a lot of traction. There's quite a lot of Brighton fans chirped up in there. So any new Brighton fans this evening, hello to you. And yeah, you were absolutely robbed. I mean, it was a complete fiasco. There was at least 4 decisions, probably 2 or 3 50-50s, and then one absolute shocker. At crucial games, a lot of them happened when the score was 1-1. And the penalty incident was the main one. That was when the score was 1-1. Completely nutty changes the game. And that's a huge impact on the league table as well. Do you know what I mean? It's such massive. A big call to have. I mean, it's a 6-point swing, like absolute gigantic 6-point swing. And it was absolutely fucking horrible. Like, and I felt for them. And it made it worse even for us personally, because we hate. We hate everyone. But Tottenham are a team that are pretty close to us. So Tottenham go from 50 to 53, and Brighton stop on 46. So they're now 7 points apart. Where with competent officiating, they'd be 1 point apart. I mean, you can't put a price on that, Baz. It's absolutely unholy what's happened. It's just horrific.
It was ridiculous. I mean, it was funny. The weekend started on the theme of referees, with Man United fans all over kicking off about Michael Oliver refereeing. Michael Oliver, a Newcastle fan, doesn't referee Newcastle games. Man U fans were furious that Michael Oliver had been given their game. And I thought it was a ridiculous argument to suggest he can't ref a Man United game because they're competing with us. Because that would mean he couldn't manage Brighton, he couldn't take Liverpool, he couldn't take Spurs. It would mean a Forest referee, a Forest supporting referee, couldn't manage anyone in the bottom half because they're all within 3 or 4 points. It was just a stupid argument. And I argued with a few Man United fans about how ridiculous it was. And that, I mean, point behind it was sort of, maybe we should just start from the starting point that refs referee games with integrity and they're not corrupt. But then I sort of lost that argument a little bit during the Spurs-Brighton, because you just can't understand. I've yet to see a single person, Spurs fan or otherwise, on Twitter, the pundit, anywhere, who doesn't think that Matoma foul is a penalty. Everybody. So how are 3 of them in the video referee's booth, or however many there are, sitting there and just thinking, "Oh, I didn't need to look at that again. That's all right. Carry on." It was just, it's unbelievable. It's inexplicable. I don't get it. And as you say, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking for Brighton. And it's not the first time. They got an apology this morning, didn't they, from the Referees Association. And it happened earlier in the season where they had a goal disallowed. I think it was Estepinian scored, and they put the line on the wrong player and disallowed the goal for offside when he wasn't offside. So that's twice now they've been done. Yeah. So potentially, it's a 6-point swing this week, but also going back a bit further, they got done out to 3 points in another game. It's just not good enough. But yeah, it's been done everywhere else, hasn't it? We all know it's a shambles. I took the under 2.5. Never really looked like winning. I mean, realistically, it should. Yeah,
that's fair enough. So. A few more of the ghosts are chirping up. Nick Morris, Manchester United fan, good evening. The thing that Michael Oliver one is weird because Michael Oliver sits about, and I've not understood this, he sits about 20 seats along from me in my season ticket. He sits in the same row, 20 seats to the right, and the kids always like seeing him. We saw him at Hillsborough past that Sheffield Wednesday game, do you remember? Yeah. He was away at Sheffield Wednesday, that game he went to win the cup. So he is just a Newcastle supporter, and when they score, he goes mental, and you can sometimes, when there's a VAR decision, you can see him. Like other people are asking him, like 10 seats all around him are asking, what's this process here? And you can see him point, he's going to do that, he's going to do that, he's going to give that. And it is an odd one, but it's never been an issue before. I think part of the issue is, Baz, our Twitter account is now we've got a load of global football supporters on there. Then everyone, Twitter's just to play, everyone's an idiot. And that includes us, like, so it's not a big deal. Who else?
Thankfully, Nick's in the chat, Man United fan. He agrees that ref argument was bollocks.
It was, well, certainly after the game when Michael Oliver had his usual rock-solid game, because he's very, very, very good.
Yeah, it's probably, it's one or two fucking Man United gobshites on Twitter, isn't it? People like Mark Goldridge, I don't even know if he was one of them arguing it. People like him who just fucking riley.
Was that Jay someone? But, yeah, I mean, there'd be enough ridiculous, stupid Newcastle commenters coming back, so it's one of those things. And Slick Rick's here as well. Good evening, Rick. Rick owes $1 into the pot because he's brought up baseball betting in the comments section, which is a fine. We also brought up the Masters. Baz, you're sweating a little Brooks Koepka bet, aren't you?
I've got a 50-1 about Brooks Koepka, yeah. So I've got a close eye on the markets at the moment. He's let the lead slip, but he's still in the frame. So I'm gonna, once we get off this, that's the rest of my night sorted.
I believe it's like Sunday night or at Augusta, and I've got back-to-back shows, so I'm going to have to sit here for 3 hours talking bollocks with the likes of you and Munaf. Wolves won Chelsea 0. I took the draw, nearly cashed. I was on the right lines, thinking Chelsea would still be shite. Good old Frank Lampard, inspirational stuff, inspired them to continue being shite. Baz, you took Chelsea. I have no idea what you were thinking, Baz.
I don't know. No. I should have just went with the unders. I said it would be low scoring.
You're right.
It would probably be 1-0. I just took the 1-0 the wrong way. I mean, but I tell you what's so stupid, Malcolm, is this fucking flip-flopping of results from Wolves at home.
Oh, you love this, yeah. You were straight onto this.
Every time Wolves play at home, I'll say it to you, they win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win, they lose. This week it's going to be a win, and then I backed Chelsea. The time before that, I said this time they're going to lose, and I went the opposite, and they lost. And it happens every time I bring up this form. So yeah, it's something now like 12, 13 games.
13 you told me on Saturday, 13,
yeah. The win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Every home game for Wolves is now up to 13, that streak. And I think at least the last 3, I've went the opposite way, despite pointing out the streak. So what is the point in me bringing it up? Maybe somebody else follows the streak, and it's all good.
Automatic team right next time. Everybody on, and that's everybody.
Wolves to lose the next home game is the play.
Southampton won Manchester City 4. I took both teams to score. Back to a system play I've been using. That was all right. Southampton got one, so I was happy with that at 11-10. Baz, Manchester City team total over 2.5, which hit also at 11-10. So a couple of lovely picks. Erling Haaland's quite good, Baz, isn't he?
He is. He's all right, isn't he? He could have had another hat-trick, wouldn't he? Because he got taken off, and about 2 minutes later, they got a penalty. That would have been his 6th or 7th hat-trick or something so far. But obviously, they wanted to bring him off and rest him ahead of a big game midweek. He'd just come back from injury, so good, solid performance. As I said before the weekend, Man City are just hitting their stride at the right time, scoring loads of goals again, and looking like going on one of those runs that they've done in the past, which might see them reel Arsenal in, particularly today after that result for Arsenal.
So Sunday's games, 2 matches today. Leeds won Palace 5. This was weird. I went to baseball practice today.
You loved this one, Malcolm, didn't you?
I went to baseball practice. Jumped in the van at about 2:20, just in time to hear Leeds take the lead. Little air punch. Bob, like, what you so happy for? Said, I'll pick that. No problem. Got home, made a cup of tea, sat down. Palace spraffed an equaliser right on half time, which was a bit of a drawback. And then by the time they would play 20 minutes of the second half, Crystal Palace were 5-1 up, as I have my first two words next to this are fuck knows. So I don't know, I can't explain what happened. But you took both teams to score, but then as your dog, remarkably, you put up Crystal Palace.
Yep. So I got it. I nailed it. I hit the both to score late in the first half. Sorry, but I thought Palace were a good price. I just fancied them to get to Leeds. As I said at the time, it was a bit of a hunch. But I think what you said is there are only two possible outcomes in this game. And that's Leeds win or draw. And I wasn't having it. So yeah, that was one of my successes. My underdog of the week. That's 2 weeks now. I had Villa against Chelsea last week. It was the underdog play, and this week coming in good with Palace to beat Leeds. So
all somebody had to do was double up West Ham and Palace, Baz, the two teams that couldn't possibly win. And it's money in the bank. And then finally, great game this afternoon. Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2. I took Arsenal, so I can claim the win, Baz, because we got paid out on 365, being 2 goals ahead. But I suppose technically it's a X next to my name. You took the Arsenal team total over 1.5, so cash that. Arsenal were absolutely cruising 2-0 in complete and utter control. And then there's an injury time goal in the first half. And then the second half was just utter madness. We can get to that Robertson thing in a minute, but it was just a really good game. Mo Salah missed another penalty, and then Liverpool equalised near the end. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Arsenal bounce back from this one, because that's the first time they've slipped up in ages, and just given Manchester City another little hope of getting back in there. But it was a great game, this one, Baz. It was just a good game of football, like, regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's essentially back in Man City's hands now, isn't it? If they win the game in hand, if they beat Arsenal, the goal difference is better, and they'd be favourites again at that point. But still a lot to play for. It makes it interesting for the neutrals, for the run-in, but it was a really, really good game. I said the same 20 minutes in at 2-0. I said Liverpool could be in for a battering here because they look poor. They look nervous. They were shit like. And I'm pleased. It was something I was going to mention. Slick Rick in the chat just mentioned Arsenal and the shithousery. Because as we know, we got a bit of a B&R on it because Arteta went mad about Newcastle shithousery when we got a 0-0 at the Emirates. Yeah. And then today, he's right. All the time wasting was on them all the second half. And it's what everybody does. They all do it. Arteta made a big deal of it against us, and then he came a cropper with it today. But an entertaining game. Second half could have been anything. I mean, that last 2 or 3 minutes in the play, Ramsdale makes 2 big saves. Konate fluffs one, and then they go up the other end. You think Arsenal were going to nick it with the last kick of the game. Really, really exciting game. I mean, for me, it was easy. Cashed after 20 minutes. I took the Arsenal over 1.5 goals. And I sort of handicapped it right because I'd said I thought Arsenal were a good price, but I preferred to have the sort of 2-2 on my side. I've said it specifically. I've said it in a few games lately. Teams that I fancy to win. I've done it with Newcastle, taking that. And it was the same thing. I took Newcastle team goals instead of Newcastle winning. And it means Newcastle 2-1 up yesterday late on, and Brentford are getting chances. There's no jeopardy for me. The 2-2's right in play, and I don't need to worry about it. And it worked out perfectly. It doesn't always. I mean, you can get done with a 1-0. But I fancied Arsenal to win, but I thought the team goals was a better play, and it worked out on this occasion. 20 minutes in, I'm happy. So yeah, really good game and good for me from a winning point of view, because it was also the final one of my treble. I took Newcastle over 1.5, Man City over 2.5, and Arsenal over 1.5. I know Slick Rick was in the chat last week and said he liked the team goals bet, so I hope he got on it. But yeah, that paid out at over 7-1. I think it was plus 750, 13.
Yeah, that's right.
In the end. Really, really good win there. So that was basically this week. Hit the lock, the dog, the treble, and the scorer. That was to go with sort of 6 out of 10 sort of players on the games. Smashing week. So all of the exciting stuff at the end of the show. If anyone made it to the last 5 minutes of the show, that was where all the gold was to be found.
Yeah, well done, Baz. Great effort. So, yeah, just to mention that the Robertson thing with the line-up, because Robertson was being an arse. The half-time whistle goes. He goes across to continue being an arse with the line-up. And I think he puts his hands on him, and the line-up clearly just tries to shrug him off. But then like catch it. And that's it. That's it. There's nothing in it, right? Robertson starts. You can see him. You can see him saying he's elbowed me in the face. Well, why isn't Robertson just walked off because he hasn't elbowed you? It hasn't hurt. Like, he hasn't done it on purpose. Why is Robertson trying to make a thing of it? And then Roy Keane at half time, who normally I think is a tit because he's just saying things about our team, but just got stuck in. I don't think he thought about the end of the sentence when he started the sentence, because he just said, well, you know that thing about Robertson. And then Keane just flipped. He got into it. And do you know the thing? He's a big baby. I've watched him for years. He's a big baby. And it was just really, really funny. And then you go to Twitter and you see the complete and utter disparate views of someone like Curtis Woodhouse, he used to be a footballer, pro boxer, saying that the linesman should be banned forever and sent to prison. And then you've got other people thinking there's just nothing in. There's absolutely, clearly, by the way, nothing in it. Like, and it's just absolutely brilliant. Like, so.
Yeah. So Nick's just mentioned the odds for the title race now. So I just brought them up. Man City have gone favourites now, 4-5, with Arsenal available at even money. So where's your money going there, Malcolm?
Well, we're going to beat Arsenal, so Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? I think Man City now, I just think, I mean, they've got the momentum. Arsenal will get back to winning ways. I don't think today was an absolute disaster for them. But it does hinge massively. Arsenal, as you say, have got to come to St James's Park as well as the Etihad. 2 big games there. They've also got Brighton away. Could be a tricky one for them. Man City, I think, have got the better run in. But yeah, interesting. Tight as anything now. But yeah, Man City have gone favourites. Newcastle third favourites, just in case you're wondering, Malcolm. 751.
What, 150?
750.
All right, I've got them at 33 Spars. I've got a fiver or at 33s. Will be a second in win. So yes, that we've spent far too long, Vaz, talking about all that stuff here. I haven't made any picks. Serial for one is particularly itching to get onto the Champions League stuff, right in his wheelhouse. That is. I'll tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is a great place to get down on fantasy and player props all year long. Underdog Fantasy has your favourite NBA, NHL, and MLB daily games. Plus, they're already doing best ball drafts for the 2023 NFL season. Head to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Before we get to the Champions League games, there's a huge game in the National League tomorrow, Baz, which we're going to just have a very cursory look at. It is Wrexham against Notts County. What time kickoff's at? 3 o'clock kickoff. I think it's on the telly somewhere. But yeah, these two teams, you'll be aware of Wrexham probably from the Netflix documentary and the 2 actors whose names I can't remember. Ryan Reynolds, is that right?
Ryan Reynolds and Rob
McElhenney. Yeah. Both of these teams now on 100 points. They have both scored the exact same amount of goals. They've both scored 106 goals. But Notts County have played 1 game more than Wrexham. So Notts County have got 4 games left. Wrexham have got 5 games left. So it's been it's quite a big game because a lot of the country you're looking at it is kind of a contrasting. A lot of people don't really want Wrexham to succeed because they've had all the money. They've got the manager on £7,000 a week. In this National League, it's not a very low level. I mean, it's the 5th tier of professional football, but still, Notts County have done it on a shoestring budget compared to Wrexham. So this is just a huge clash, sort of David and Goliath, both famous old football clubs as well. But they play each other tomorrow, and I'll give you the odds. And Baz, you just had a little look, although it was a fairly straightforward advice you've got. Wrexham is 6-4 at home. The draw's 5-2, and Notts County are 13-8, so a tiny bit bigger. So the books can't split them. Baz, what did you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so it's a big game around here. Obviously, I'm living down in Nottinghamshire these days, so it's a bank holiday. Everyone's off work tomorrow, which is why we've got 3 o'clock games on a Monday. And I know it's like the local football club around here just put a message out tonight telling everyone the club's open at 2 o'clock for the game and all that. So there's a lot of interest around here. But yeah, I looked at it because the 2 games that are two teams that are full of goals, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah.
So it was the goals angle and whether there's a potential for a bit of a ladder here. And the over 2.5 is only 4-5, which I think is all right. I mean, you look at the scoring record for these two teams. As you say, they've both scored 106. So they're averaging sort of 2.5 goals a game themselves, before you even look at what they've conceded. Notts County, last 3 games, 3-0, 2-0, 4-0. So scoring plenty, keeping clean sheets there, but they're then coming up against Wrexham, who are goal crazy. So I wouldn't say Notts County keeping a clean sheet, but they can definitely score plenty. They've had a couple of 3-1s recently, 4-0s, 4-1s have come up often. So plenty goals in the county games. And similar story with Wrexham. They got beat 3-1 the other day, which is what's made this game so much more interesting, because Wrexham had it all
they lost
in
to
their own
Halifax,
hands.
didn't they?
Had it all in their own hands and went and blew it against Halifax on Saturday, 3-1. Last 3 games for them, 3-1, 5-1, 3-0. They've got 4-0s, 2-2s, 3-1s, 4-3s. All of the form for both teams is full of goals. And over 2.5, 4-5, I'll take that. And I'm going to ladder it up. I'm going to have a little bit of a ladder. 2-1 for over 3.5 goals, 5-1 for over 4.5, and 12-1 for over 5.5. Let's have a bit of 3 p.m. fun. I'll go around the local football club, sit with some Notts County fans and cheer on loads of goals.
And we get a 3-3 draw out of it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, Slickwick saying that he'd like whoever finishes second really should go up through the playoffs, but that's just not how the playoffs work. Unfortunately, they're always
it's a hard playoff as well in the National League. 16 playoff, isn't it? Second and third get a bye. Fourth down to 8th or whatever it is that then come in. Single leg playoffs as well in the National League. It is a really, really. Neither of these teams want to take their chances in the playoff. Notts County have got done there a couple of times. So yeah, for me, I'm hoping Notts County do it just for a bit of the locals. So,
right. Okay,
we name in the chat there as well, Lee Miller. He agrees with me. The playoffs are a lottery, particularly in that National League. Yeah.
Welcome, Lee. Nice to have you in there. We titled this show as Champions League picks. And 38 minutes in, we haven't even made one. Right. Champions League quarterfinals, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. kickoff, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Benfica versus Inter Milan. Benfica are 11-10 plus 110. The draw is 23-10 plus 230. Inter are 13-5 plus 260. In the last round, we watched and bet on Benfica as they smashed up Bruges 7-1 on aggregate. The 7 points clear in their league. Well, it is quite hard to assess. There's a lack of competition in there. The home record's good. They did lose at home to Porto on Friday night. They also failed to beat Sporting Lisbon at home. I'm sort of looking for games here that was suitable comparison games, sort of Champions League level teams. They're attacking. They play on the front foot. They average 3.07 goals at home. Again, a lot of that will be 5-0 wins against teams like Estoril and people like that. In the group stages, they conceded at home against PSG. They conceded 3 at home to Juventus. The only clean sheet they've kept was against Maccabi Haifa. Obviously, a lower level team there. Inter came out of the tough group with Munich and knocked out Barcelona. And actually, we get quite a nice comparison here because in the last 16, they played Porto from the same league, obviously, as Benfica. Eked out a 1-0 aggregate win in that one. They're 5th in Serie A in a tight race for Champions League qualification. Their away form, however, is not very inspiring at all. They've won 5 out of 14 in the league. And recently, they've 1-1 at Salernitana, a 2-1 defeat at Spezia, a 1-0 defeat at Bologna, and a 0-0 at Sampdoria, who are bottom of the league. I think Benfica are worth a pop here. They're going to have a go as well. Benfica know this is their best chance to get amongst it. And I do think Inter might even be happy to lose 1-0. I think Inter will be pretty pragmatic here. So I'm going to take Benfica to win this game at 11-10. I think they can take a lead back to Milan for the second leg. So give me Benfica 11-10 plus 110 on the money line.
Yeah, so I mean, you covered a lot of what I was going to say. As you say, they're currently at the top ahead of Porto. Obviously, Porto beat them in the weekend. I don't know. I didn't look at the lineup. I don't know how strong a team Benfica put out, or whether they did maybe rest some with this game in mind. Because I mean, it didn't really affect them much. They're still 7 points clear at the top of the league. Prior to that, they were on an 8-game winning streak, and they cruised past Bruges, didn't they? 7-1 on aggregate. And I've wrote the same Inter come into it in poor form, just 1 win in 8 in all competitions. And I thought they were quite fortunate to scrape past Porto. We were on Porto last time round, and they had chance after chance late in that second leg. Just couldn't get the goal. I think so. Inter got past Porto, but I think Benfica are a better side than Porto. They'll cause more attacking threat to Inter. And Inter are in worse form now than they were when they come up against Porto in the last round. I agree with you. I think Benfica to win the home leg is a solid play, 11-10. The only thing I am mindful of is Inter's defensive record is decent. It's only 1 win in the last 8, but in that time, only one side has scored more than twice against them. So the unders could be another play. I could see Benfica coming out winning this 1-0 or 2-0. But unders is a little bit short, 4-6. So I'll stick with the same play as you. Team ride, Benfica to win this, 11-10 on the money line.
Okay, team ride on Benfica then. Good start, Baz, like it. The second game on Tuesday, same time, kick-off, Manchester City against Bayern Munich. Manchester City 13-18, -138. The draw 3-1. Bayern Munich are 7-2 underdogs, +350. Baz, hard one this. What have you got?
It's a hard one, but it's always going to be at this stage, isn't it? I think just before I mentioned that, I noticed Serial had mentioned in the chat about our futures show. We talked about the Champions League, and we did put up Benfica, didn't we, as little underdogs in that side of the draw, with it being the easier side with Inter and AC Milan in there, although Napoli are the obvious favourites in that part of the draw. Serial mentioned that we put up, Benfica previously as underdogs to get through to the final. So that also plays in, to our picks there. But Man City v Bayern, I think Man City will obviously be hugely boosted by today's results. Now back right in the frame. And as we said, favourites for the league now. But more importantly, their recent form, 8 wins in a row now. So 21 goals in the last 4 games alone. Firing again, they had Haaland missing for a couple of games. He comes back, strolls in, grabs a couple, gets subbed. That's it, job done. He'll be back in, well rested. And we'll see how he goes. I mean, it's a sort of game at this stage where City have fallen in the past, isn't it? And there is no real result in this tie that would come as a huge shock. There's no doubt Bayern have got the capability to get past Man City here. But in the home leg, I think Man City will get the job done and put one leg in the semi-final. Bayern beat Freiburg at the weekend, 1-0. Prior to that, they hadn't had a clean sheet in 4 games. They'd conceded 9 goals in the last 4 games before the weekend. They're going to need to be tighter than that against this City side, who are now firing on all cylinders. Although I think it's a little short price, I'm just going to take City on the money line. It's 8-11. I'm still totally undecided as to... It's a hard tie across the 2 legs, but I feel confident enough to take City to win this first leg, given their current form and particularly their home form this season.
Okay, so City on the money line for Baz. The more I looked at my pick here, Baz, the more I quite liked it. I'm not saying it's going to be cagey, but I do think they'll both be a little bit circumspect. Going back to the last round, I watched Munich against PSG, and the 2 games finished 2-0 and 1-0. Manchester City's first leg finished 1-1 in Leipzig before they humped them in the second leg. Did I think Leipzig get a man sent off, or did something terrible happen quite early on? Anyway, they smashed the daylights out of them. So we got 3 out of 4 there at under 2.5 goals. You've just said Munich won 1-0 at the weekend. Man City have been humping teams, but Southampton, teams like that, So at the under 2.5 for me is far too big a price of +130, 13-10. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit tighter than people are giving this credit for. Everyone's going to have this down as a 3-all draw, and I think we can see something different. So I'm going to say the under 2.5 goals, +130. And we move on to Wednesday. Again, 8 p.m. kickoffs, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And the first game is an all-Italian clash between AC Milan and Napoli. AC Milan are 19-10, plus 190. The draw is 16-5, plus 220. And Napoli are the road favourites, 14-9, plus 155. I mean, I was quite happy to handicap this like a Serie A game here, like a league game. Napoli are 22 points clear of Milan. However, on April the 2nd, which was the day of the Man United game, Baz, when we humped Man United, Napoli 0, Milan 4 was the score. And you know what I'm going to say? Look, he's already started laughing. I'll tell you why, because we were in the pub and we were all in very high spirits and we were also full of beer. And you told me, because I'd hit quite a few things to that Man United match, hadn't I, Baz? I had the 2-0 correct score and everything. And you told me to back Napoli team goals or handicap or all kinds of things. So I did. I emptied the clip in a beer-fueled haze and then watched my phone alerts go off every time AC Milan scored, and I became increasingly angry with you. So that was the end of that. They've won 13 of their 15 away games. That was their only defeat. So I'll tell you what, I can jinx fucking better teams than Crystal Palace and West Ham. Milan, since then, they played Empoli. It was a 0-0 home draw with Empoli. So, yeah, I'm happy to view that result as an outlier. I'm just going to bet the better team here, Baz, and it's not even really close. I'll take Napoli at 14-9 plus 155, please.
Yeah, I was just laughing at how you managed to, in a review of AC Milan v Napoli, managed to shoehorn in Newcastle humping Man United.
Yeah.
Well, there's a will, there's a way. I mean, I've wrote the same. It became a little bit more interesting, this one. When the draw was made, it looked as straightforward. Napoli cruising through to the semi-finals. But yeah, Milan winning that 4-0 last week. And in fact, it was only the second defeat in 12 games for Napoli. They won the other 10. I mean, it's a result that did little damage to Napoli in terms of the league. They're 16 points clear at the top still. But definitely will be a bit of a boost for Milan coming into this. But the Milan are currently sitting in 4th. They're just clinging on to the Champions League spot at the moment. And that win over Napoli is the only win for them in the last 6. They got here via a 1-0 aggregate win over Spurs. Big deal. Spurs aren't very good either. Napoli were comprehensive 5-0 winners over Frankfurt. I wrote the big sort of caveat here is the big unknown of the fitness of Victor Osimhen for Napoli, who is the talisman, the main man for on the goal score in front for them. He's missed the last 2. He missed that defeat in Milan and the win at the weekend. From what I've seen, the Italian media currently reporting that they don't think he will start. So it's likely to be Raspadori as the sort of front man for them. I think it's probably been factored into some of the pricing a bit. I think if Osimhen's fit, Napoli would probably be shorter, closer to sort of 11-10, 5-4 maybe. And I think the same about the goals market. I think over 2.5 goals is a decent price, probably because he's expected to miss out. But I think the over 2.5 has hit the last 4 games for Napoli and the last 2 for AC Milan. And I just think it's priced a little bit high, probably based on the fact he's likely to miss out. But it's 6-5. I'm going to take a chance. I mean, we had a 4-0 in the same fixture just a week ago. So it's 6-5. I'm going to take a bit of a punt here on over 2.5 goals. I do like Napoli. I think Napoli will win. AC Milan might get on the score sheet. Napoli win this 2-1, 3-1, something like that. So I'll take the over 2.5 at 6-5.
Okay, and the final of these 4 games is Real Madrid against Chelsea. Real Madrid 7-10, minus 142. The draw is 11-4, plus 275. Chelsea are out there at 4-1. Bazza, are you taking Chelsea again this week?
No.
It's
hard. Definitely not. I'll start with that. Hard to know what to make of Real Madrid's form at the moment. They're a bit all over the place. They were comprehensive winners, obviously, in the last round against Liverpool. They hammered Barcelona 4-0 last week in the Copa del Rey, having lost to them 2 weeks earlier in the league. So that didn't really tell us much. They also lost last night 3-2 to Villarreal. They were ahead early on and lost that one. Though they did rest a few, probably with one eye on this game. There was definitely a few, Modric, Camavinga, a few others who didn't start last night. Chelsea's form's easier to work out, isn't it? It's poor. No win in 4. They haven't scored in the last 3. And although they did well to overcome Dortmund last time out, I don't give them a chance in this first leg in particular. They've struggled to score against some poor teams lately. Wolves kept a clean sheet against Chelsea, Fulham, Southampton, slightly less poor teams, Villa and Liverpool also kept clean sheets against them. Real Madrid kept a clean sheet in the away leg, in their home leg, against Liverpool. Managed to keep Liverpool's attack quiet in the Bernabeu last time. And against a misfiring Chelsea team who are struggling to score, I can definitely see Real Madrid getting another clean sheet here. And if they do that, then they're a great chance to win the game. And I think Real are a bigger price than I expected them to be for this first leg. 7-10 for Real to win definitely appeals. Ancelotti just gets the job done in these games, doesn't he? I'd said when we reviewed the sort of long term after the Champions League draw, Real Madrid are worth a punt, despite being in that hard side of the draw. You can never write them off against anyone. I think this will be a fairly comfortable win for Madrid. Take the pressure off them going into the away leg. Madrid at 7-10 appeals, but I'm going to go for Madrid to score 2 or more goals here. It's a slightly bigger price, 4-5. So Madrid over 1.5 team goals at 4-5 is a play for me in this one.
Team total 4-5. Write that down. Yeah, really hard for me this one, and I feel like I labour the point every time, and this a lot of this hinges for me on what weird Chelsea turn up, whether it's going to be that self-motivating thing that happens all the time when they get to a decent game, because the 2 best performances Chelsea have put in the last 4 months were in the last round of this competition, and I think they were the better team in both games. They lost away at Dortmund, didn't they? But actually acquitted themselves really, really well, and then turned them over at home and battered them. And I'm just constantly getting Chelsea wrong because I am handicapping on the Premier League form, and they just go and decide they want to go and do it. I don't think Frank Lampard is in any way going to help or detract, in fact, from this. The players will just go and do what they want, regardless. So, yeah, Madrid aren't great, to be honest, but I don't know. All I got here, Baz, was I've tied myself up in knots with this one. I talked myself into Chelsea scoring a goal, is what happened. I think they can score a goal. I went a right long way around the houses there to say I think Chelsea could score a goal. And I think Madrid will also score a goal, Baz. So, can you work out what the bet's going to be?
I'm thinking you're going to take both teams to score.
It's both teams to score, Baz. You've got it. Well worked out. Both teams to score. It's a price of minus 105. And Chelsea could have easily scored a couple in Dortmund. They did score a couple at home as well. And they just do this all the time. If I'm wrong, then I'll be quite happy to be wrong, because it means they'll get home. So, Madrid have only kept 2 clean sheets in the last 6 games as well. So.
Lots in the chat about this one. Slick Rick says Chelsea can't say anything but a loss for them. Also, Lee Miller's got Real to win. Slick Rick fancies Real to win 1-0 plus 170. Good to see lots of people putting their picks out there, putting their neck on the line. Yeah,
not many people in the chat agreeing with me, which is probably very sensible. Thursday night, there's the Europa League quarter-finals. We've got 4 games, but we're only going to look at one. This is your time to shine, Nick. Tell us what's going to happen. The game is an 8 o'clock kickoff, 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is Manchester United against Sevilla. Man United are 2-5, minus 250. The draw's at 7-2, plus 350, and Sevilla are at 8-1. This was a little bit like handicapping Man United v Wolves, or indeed Man United v Everton, a game that we've just seen at the weekend. And we've got a very similar comp in the last round where Manchester United took on Real Betis and beat them 4-1 at home. What happens away from home? I can't remember. Was it a draw? Ooh, I can't. Anyway, yeah, we should know. I still don't want to back Man U in any way. That they're too short, -250. I thought they did play well at the weekend in the first half against Everton. I thought Everton's tactics helped them out a lot as well. But Rashford came off with a little hamstring, I do believe, but that'll only help them because he's rubbish. Sevilla aren't very good, however. This is part of the issue. They've won 3 out of 14, unfortunately. They beat 9-2 over in Fenerbahce comfortably. They did drop out of the Champions League, which is what they're doing in this competition. In the Champions League group, they lost 4-1 and 3-0 to Manchester City. They lost 4-1 to Dortmund. And although Man United aren't in the same class as those two, that's the kind of problem Sevilla are going to have, I think, taking on a better class of opposition. So this was hard. I had to cobble together a bet here because I think Manchester United will win, but I don't think they're in a position really to hammer anybody. I'm going to take Manchester United under 4 goals. You can build them two together. That's at a price of +110. It's going to be something like 2-0 or 2-1 Manchester United. So Man U to win and the under 4 goals bars at +110, 11-10, please.
Yeah, so I found this a hard one, really, really difficult. I mean, obviously, they got back to winning ways yesterday, Man United, and their home form is always reliable, I think, at the moment. But like you, I think that they are very short. Like I said before, I think Man United will fancy themselves to win this tournament. I think they'll have a proper go at it. I was never convinced Arsenal would. I said I thought Sporting might do Arsenal in the last round just because Arsenal have got bigger fish to fry. I think Man U will get the job done here over 2 legs. Sevilla aren't having a great season. And they'll probably need to get a result here at Old Trafford and should do so. Casemiro will be back in the mix, won't he? I mean, Martial is getting back to fitness, which has got to be a slightly better option than playing Weghorst. He was finally dropped to the bench yesterday, so that might be a bonus for Man United. Sevilla currently sitting down 13th in La Liga, so they're not threatening the European places. So this actually only represents their only chance of getting back into Europe next season. And they've got good pedigree in this competition over the years, didn't they? They kept winning it over and over again.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's Slick Rick's pointed that out. They are sort of
I'd noticed that. I mean,
darlings of this competition.
Fancies them at 8-1 here, and as I say, they have got pedigree in this tournament. It's historically done very well, and I'm sure did they beat Man United in a final of this not long ago? I've got a feeling they did. Somebody will probably tell us if that's true. I think Sevilla want to come here and just keep things tight, give themselves a chance in the second leg. I just found it a really hard game to pick. Man, you are too short at 2-5. I don't mind what you've done, sort of tagging on and under 3.5 or something like that. That would work for me. But yeah, I said the same, much like the Everton game at the weekend. I don't feel hugely comfortable backing Man United in handicaps or team goals at the moment because they're just not scoring as many goals as they should be. So the play for me here is under 2.5 goals. So you can have your 1-0 or your 2-0 and we'll both cash it. So yeah, I'll just take Sevilla to keep it low scoring. Man United probably win this 1-0 or 2-0 I've got down. And the unders has hit 5 of the last 6 Man United games and 4 of the last 6 for Sevilla. So even money +100, under 2.5 goals. That's the pick for me in this one.
That's fair enough, Baz. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, has got us to the end of the show. We've just about cracked a tight hour, Baz. Waffled on, probably too much, but it was a fun weekend of Premier League action to waffle on about. Anything else you want to tell the people around before you go and sweat the rest of your Brooks Cup bet?
Yeah, he's falling behind now, and he's going to let me down, the bastard. No, we've got no. We haven't bothered with parlays, scorers, underdogs this week because it's a bit slim pickings in terms of the number of games. So nothing there. We've got. We've had some good interaction in the YouTube chat tonight. So yeah, keep coming back, keep commenting, tell your friends, get them involved, and keep liking, rating, reviewing. More thumbs up on the YouTubes and all that lot. But otherwise, that's about it from me. Go and watch the golf for a bit. Okay, cheers, Baz. If you're remotely interested in the baseball, that's $1 fine for me. But you can join us in 23 minutes when me and Munaf and D-Rock will take apart Easter Monday's baseball games as well. I've been in decent form, even though Barry and Munaf were piping each other off on Twitter yesterday, but we won't mention that.
thanks everyone for getting involved. We very much enjoy it and appreciate it. Any new listeners, do what Baz just told you to do. We'll be back on Thursday night to get stuck into the Premier League again and hopefully keep our hot run going. But until then, thanks everyone. Good luck with your bet, and we'll see you down the road. Cheers.